Wait until the war is over and we're both a little older. The unknown soldier.
It's about how we treat our veterans every single day of the year. It's about making sure they have the care they need and the benefits that they've earned when they come home. It's about serving all of you as well as you've served the United States of America. Barack Obama. As of January 31st, there were close to 1.4 million people serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. When our soldiers are serving, they know their purpose. In all things, in all tasks, beyond any debate, their mission is to serve and protect America. When our soldiers come home, they often feel alone, lost, and overwhelmed with the transition into civilian life. It can be a struggle to find a new purpose.
The military does provide you with an objective every day. You have something that is given to you that's greater than yourself. I hear a lot, well, it tells you what to do, and so you don't get used to doing things on your own. And so the way I hear people express it that aren't military is that, well, you don't have to make those decisions on your own. And so that's why you have a hard time coming out. Well, that's not really the case. The case is the entire world that you're involved in has a purpose and an objective and a mission, and you've got your part to play. That's not the way it is out here. You don't go to the mall and find that everybody there has a uniform purpose that's going to make something better. What you see at the mall is everybody is going in a million different directions, and that's threatening. Because I don't know what that guy's purpose is. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they're here. And so that's a challenge to readjust to the structure. And like you say, to just having a purpose-driven life. Now, it is hard to find what your purpose is and what your piece is. Because when you think about joining the military, right? The day you go down there and sign up, they said to me, oh, we'd like you to, you did great on that test, we'd like you to work for the newspaper. I don't want to work for the newspaper. I could do that, at the university. I want to be infantry, right? So, okay, now you're defined. Everybody knows what you're supposed to do. You know what you're supposed to do. And when I joined, when you walked up to somebody, it said what they did on their patch. If you were an officer, it said you were an infantry officer. So you could just look at somebody by what they're wearing, and you already know, okay, that's what that guy does. Not that way out here. And then when you threw the 10 years of war in the middle of that, where unless it was a military person, that person was a potential threat, then it made readjustment really difficult. So finding a purpose when you get out is difficult.
So as much as you don't know what it's like to be in the military, we don't know what it's like to really be a civilian, especially if we joined right out of high school. Before we had all these responsibilities that you have as an adult, right? We had a different set of responsibilities, which I wouldn't say that they don't translate over, but they don't really help us with the basic responsibilities we need to do when we get out. And not all veterans have that problem, though.
Research suggests that 81 to 93% of women veterans have been exposed to some type of trauma over their lifetime. 1 in 5 female veterans admitted that they had been the victim of military sexual assault.
Once I got in, I realized that it fit who I am. I made rank pretty quick. I was always at the top of my classes when I went to my training or any of that, all my schools. I loved being a soldier and I loved being a leader, so I got promoted and put in leadership positions, and I realized that I could make a difference in people's lives because I had one of my very first mentors said, this is not about you. You take care of your stuff at 2 o'clock in the morning if that's what it takes. You take care of their stuff now. My experiences, I started out in an engineer unit of heavy equipment, which was primarily male. We had females, but we were all in support positions. But my experiences there were, I was treated like a sister. Nobody messed with me. Nobody would have messed with any of the females in our unit. Fast forward to 2004 when I deployed to Iraq and they were raping us. I didn't even know what dimension I had stepped into. It felt like I was just worlds away from when I first came in, because I mean, when we would go to the field in my engineer unit, I'd share a tent with a male, a little pup tent, 2 of us. Nothing ever happened. And then my first deployment, you know, we come out of Iraq, and all of a sudden, you know, females are being sexually assaulted right and left in the bathrooms, in the shower units. I mean, out behind tents, wherever there was a dark spot, it was happening, and it's still happening.
Currently, women account for 15.3% of active duty personnel in the U.S. military. The Marines have the lowest percentage of women. 20 of 336 Marine jobs are closed to women. The Air Force and Navy have the highest percentage of women serving.
If I probably would have went in a different branch of the service, and I may have actually stayed. I think that probably if I had went into the Air Force, I probably would have stayed and then retired. I wouldn't stay in the Marine Corps, and it wasn't that I disliked my job, because even though it wasn't what I thought I was going in for, I was good at it, and it's just the way my brain works. I was good at it. But because of the environment in the Marine Corps in the 80s for women, there was no way. Well, there wasn't very many women in the Marine Corps in the 80s. We graduated less than 100 people when I graduated from boot camp. And the men in the Marine Corps were not really nice to the women in the Marine Corps. It was very difficult to make it through your days. I was stationed at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. There were times where it's well over 100 degrees when you're in that area in Jacksonville. And the men in that area that were Marines, they would take their jackets off and they would wear their green t-shirt, and that's what they would work in outside. But as a woman, we were not permitted to do that, because if we took off our jackets, we were distracting. So therefore, we had to sweat our asses off out there in the heat, because the men couldn't work if we were to remove our jackets. We had a boot lieutenant that if we would be working, like say I was working on a generator, I would be told to leave the fucking generator alone and let a man do it so it would get done right. But if I didn't do anything, I was like every other lazy woman that was just there for a free ride.
As of 2014, the VA estimates there were 22 million veterans in the U.S. population. Although veterans make up only 10% of the population, they account for nearly 1 in 5 of all suicides.
I was just so excited to get out and come back home to friends and family, and that I just kind of did what I needed to do and just check in the box and get out as quickly as possible. I didn't really take it very seriously. Got out, didn't really have a solid plan. And they want you to have a solid plan, but they don't really make sure you have a solid plan. You just gotta make sure it sounds like you have a solid plan. So I got out, and then that was really weird, because what I expected to come home to wasn't what I came home to. A lot of the relationships and friendships and stuff were kind of not the same. Most people were older, married, never been really close with my family. So I thought maybe that would be different, and it never really changed either. And I just kind of found myself kind of spiraling downward when I got out, and it wasn't until probably 6-7 months after I got out that it just I hit rock bottom. And I wouldn't say it was anything necessarily from the military, but it was, I think, a combination of just kind of my growing up, plus, you know, this crazy time in the military, and then this crazy transition that everything was just kind of overwhelming. I didn't really have a sense of direction, and hit rock bottom, and I wanted to end my life.
In this proud land we grew up strong. We were wanted all along. I was taught to fight, taught to win. I never thought I could fail. No fight left, or so it seems. I am a man whose dreams have all deserted. I've changed my face, I've changed my name, but no one wants you when you lose.
Don't give up, 'cause you have friends. Don't give up, you're not beaten yet. Don't